Hi, my name is John Fetherston. Good evening. I'm the Energy Efficiency Arkansas Facilitator. I work for the Arkansas Department of Energy and Environment, and the Energy Efficiency Arkansas program is managed by the Arkansas Energy Office in partnership with Arkansas public investor-owned gas and electric utilities. Our mission is to provide information on ways to encourage Arkansans to save money on their energy bills, which helps them save money overall. Uh, Arkansans should become more aware of what the utilities have to offer and other programs that are available to them to help them with energy efficiency. A little bit about what energy efficiency is. Energy efficiency um, is the focus of energy efficiency is um, how you can use upgrades or things that you can change to improve the usage of electricity and gas and lower your energy bills, while energy conservation is doing something to use less of something. Let's go ahead and start the slideshow here. Let me share. Okay, so the title of this is 30 Simple Things You Can Do to Save Energy and Money. And um, there's a book that accompanies this presentation. I will make it available if someone will email me and request a copy. I would be happy to send one to you. But let's get into it a little bit. What is energy? Energy is the ability to do work. It's power of doing work. Anything you do that takes effort will always require a little bit of energy. It doesn't matter whether you're laying down, cooking. We use energy to do things. So to heat things up, to cool things down, to make something light, to entertain us, to do work that we'd physically have to put out a little bit of effort to, scrub those clothes or wash those dishes. That's what energy is. Um, let's take a little walk through a house. We'll talk about a few things that we can do to save some money on your energy bills. So normally I would interact with people about some of the principles beyond just the average conversation about space heaters and things like that. Some space heaters, like a quartz heater, uh, heats up the object rather than the air, and uh, so some are what are called radiant, and some are convection. All space heaters, regardless of uh, all, for example, all 1500-watt electric space heaters, no matter how big or how small they are, put out exactly the same amount of heat because they're a 1500-watt space heater. Let's talk about some of the things you can do to improve your electric bill. For example, if you have a thermostat in a place that's right under a vent or too close to a dryer or sitting in the sun, you may get false readings and it may overheat or underheat your house. One thing I would talk about is having somebody check your ductwork occasionally when your AC repair person comes out on occasion to check out your air conditioner or your heater. You might have them take a look at your vents and your ducts and make sure that everything's working properly and is properly sealed. There's tape that goes around the seals of these vents, and sometimes leaks can occur, and that can really hit you in the pocketbook if you have a ventilation system that's leaky. For example, you may be air conditioning your attic or your crawl space and or heating your crawl space, and those are things that you probably are not wanting to pay for. It can really affect your bill. So um, you can save some money just by having somebody come and check once a year or so. Uh, check your system out and take a look at it. They can help you do that. And changing your filters is a big deal. So you want to keep your filters clean and working properly. Um, as far as you know, as far as your utility bills, there are things that you can do with the utility companies. You can ask them for information about programs that they may have, but so sometimes there are options to levelize bills and things like that. But one of the things that I would strongly encourage again is having somebody inspect your system once every so often. And it's a personal choice, but there are tricks that you can do to uh, help yourself out. Keeping the leaves and the dust and the debris and the grass out of your air conditioner in the summertime, for example, can dramatically help your unit outside to breathe and function properly. Uh, Making sure that things are proper and set up right with your heater can also help you. Having for the system to be able to breathe, that really helps out a lot too. Another thing about air conditioners and heaters, especially with the air conditioner, uh, air conditioners are set up to work at a certain load, and so they are designed to operate to to condition the air in the entire house. So one of the mistakes that some people make, they start thinking that possibly they can save on their energy bill or make things a little bit less costly by sealing off a room. The problem is they will change the load, change the amount of air that has to be cooled to reach that set point on your air conditioner. If your air conditioner functions too efficiently because of that, what will happen is your air conditioner will turn on, turn off, turn on, turn off, turn on, and off, and you will find yourself paying more, for less. Is what will basically happen. You'll have your air conditioner turning on and off frequently because it doesn't have to work as hard to air conditioner that one room. A better option might be to change the setting on the thermostat a little bit and using a ceiling fan or something like that in the area that you're at, or something else to help you in that one particular room. Talking about ceiling fans, fans cool people, not rooms. And so the size of your ceiling fan does matter because it can affect how much air it can move around a room. But air fans make you feel cooler because they blow air on you. And something that you can do to test that is you just hold your arm out in front of you and fan your arm. So you feel the air blowing against the side of your arm, and so you feel a little cooler because of the evaporation that happens on your arm. But uh, the air fan that you have in your living room or your dining room, wherever it happens to be, it doesn't really cool the room. It just moves air and cools you off. Does that make sense? Uh, uh, Lighting accounts for at least 10% of the electricity consumed in the United States. In fact, most families have approximately 40 light bulbs in their house, one place or another. Those light bulbs, if you have the old incandescent or halogen or maybe the curlicue lights, they use a little bit more power than some of the newer LED lights, and many people haven't switched to those yet. Um, if you the Energy Information Agency in the United States has put out information saying that if the average family would switch all their lights in their house to LEDs, they would most likely save about $600 a year on their electric bill. The Another little point on that is if you had just one single light bulb in your house that was a 75-watt incandescent light bulb. So say the little lamp behind me was an incandescent, had an incandescent light bulb in it, and it's burning at 75 watts. And you go to the store, and you see that particular light has a lifespan according to the box at the store. It says that it'll last 900 hours. Well, that's a long time, and you think, Well, this light bulb is much cheaper than this LED light bulb over the side. Well, the prices are going down on the LED light bulbs. But if you go to your bargain hut or wherever, and you find a little light bulb, and you see that it says on there, see if I can get in close enough to show it. You see, get in there, it says 22, 25 years life on the light bulb. And that little light bulb only uses 11 watts of electricity. Well, 11 versus 75 is quite a bit. And then you start thinking, well, how long do I use that one light bulb, in that one lamp, and it's a 75 watt one because I'm cutting, my usage a little bit and using the smaller one. But that one light bulb, if you were to switch to an LED over the course of the 22, 25 years that light bulb will last, is supposed to last, versus the less than 1 year for the incandescent light, you will probably save $200-300 for that one light if you're burning it 6-8 hours a day. And I'm sure most of us have one that burns quite a bit like that. So little choices like that can make a big, big difference in a home. That's what all this is about, improving your quality of life and your standard of living a little bit by lowering your energy bills, making good conscientious decisions about what you do. A good place to start is to look for the Energy Star logo on the light bulb. And one little comment about LED light bulbs is they come in all kinds of colors and hues. So you have to look and make sure that the light is the type of light that you prefer. And you can match almost identically to the incandescent bulbs and find what you want. And they're virtually the same price these days. Some LED light bulbs are dimmable, some are not. Some LED light bulbs can be used outside and some cannot. You just need to read the packaging for that. Let's take a walk into our kitchen and look in there. So microwaves are outselling many other types of stoves and ranges and ovens and cooktops, but they use quite a bit of power. The microwaves are not used for very long at a time, so it may be a good choice to use as opposed to using your stovetop or range. But one thing I would suggest is when you're cooking, make decisions based around how much you're going to cook at a time. Cooking more than one meal at a time may be a good idea. If you're going to cook on your oven, you might want to consider turning the heat off, the last few minutes of that, and you can save some energy that way. But little countertop and microwaves now come with some other features available. So some microwaves now are available with air fryers and oven features in them. And it may possibly be, if you make a decision that's right for you, it may be a good choice to use a little bit less power and use a smaller application. Insulating your home. If just, like it says here, if just 10,000 customers insulated their attics, there would be 50 million fewer pounds of carbon dioxide into the air each year. So that's a big deal. It's a topic of discussion in our country these days. But insulating your house also can lower your energy bill. You won't have to fight as hard versus the outside to keep your house, nice and warm in the winter, and maybe a little bit cooler in the summer as well. The average house in the U.S. has about I don't know if you can see my little picture here, but it has about a 14 by 14 inch hole of all the little nooks and crannies and spaces around the house. And so if you could seal those off, and if you could insulate against the thermal, from the outside, you could definitely lower your energy bills by quite a bit. You just simply won't have to have your air conditioner or your heater work as hard to heat or cool your home. talking about sealing little gaps around your doors. There are many products out there. Some people like rolling up towels and placing them, by their doors. Others buy these neat little products that are designed to fit snugly up underneath the door, and it will slide and make a fairly tight seal. There's a caulk be put around various edges, and you can even seal your outlets and plugs. You can make those nice and tight, and it would save a little bit even through your outlets and plugs. I think it has about a 4 or 5% effect. So it has a little bit of effect, with the channeling to the outside. But sealing your windows and doors are a very, very good way to stop some of the bleed into and out of the house. Keep that air from moving in and out when it doesn't need to. Up in your attic, summer temperatures in a poorly ventilated attic can be very, very hot. I don't have a picture of an infrared camera on an attic right at the present time, but you can just see a dramatic change with the heat. There are things that you can do in your attic. You can insulate all around the floor joists. You can insulate around the rafters, but there are other things that can be done as well. There's aluminum or radiant barriers that can be placed along the rafters with a space, and that will dramatically drop the temperature in your attic. That drop in temperature is something your home does not have to fight against to heat or cool, especially in the summertime. We won't have to fight against that sun heating up a thermal space above your house, and it will dramatically affect how much energy you have to put out to keep your house cool, especially if your ventilation system happens to be running through the attic. Heat loss through uninsulated floors can account for 25% or more of your heating bill. It doesn't just have to be up; it can be down and to the side. If your home is not sealed off properly, if it doesn't have insulation versus the cold or the hot, those things can definitely make an effect on your home. One of the people that I work with in my office had her home had a energy audit done in her home. I highly encourage you to go to our website. It's energyefficiencyarkansas.org, and I will show that at the end of this presentation. But one of the people I work with had this done to her home and dropped her energy bills down dramatically, nearly by half. They come out, they'll do an energy audit, they'll do a blower door test and seal off your house and find out where the little leaks and inefficiencies are in your home. They'll make recommendations, and sometimes they will be able to do some work to seal those things off for you. That can dramatically affect your bill. Your glass in the summertime, on the fronts of your house, you may have open windows on the south side that a lot of sun gets in through. That can dramatically heat up your house by heating your floor. Radiant energy comes into your house through those windows. You can definitely cut that heat loss by putting drapes, over those windows and blocking some of that off. The opposite can be true in the wintertime. You can get a little bit of gain, a little bit of secondary gain by letting some of that sunshine in during the colder months, and you can possibly heat up some of the inside of your house by solar radiation. Sealing off your windows. Windows are expensive. There's double pane and triple pane and gas filled and all kinds of fancy preparations you can do for your windows. But sometimes what you need to do is simply make sure all the little leaks and cracks are sealed off around those windows, and that's sealed properly, and that air flows properly. There are little kits that you can use that are very, very cheap. Sometimes you can even find them on discount at the grocery store or someplace like that. I picked one up the other day that sealed 3 windows, and it was about a little bit less than $10. But you can seal off these. You put these. They're like plastic sheets that you seal them off. You can seal them with a hair dryer, and they'll go tight. You can see through the window clearly, and it'll definitely be a little barrier that you can quickly do without any help on your own. Uh, those those little leaks and cracks that you fight against, like I said earlier, the average home in the U.S. has about a 14-inch by 14-inch space through the side of their house. So if you can imagine a hole that's that large, that's open to the air in the dead of winter or in the hottest day of the summer, and that you're trying to heat against that or cool against that, you can just imagine how much energy that is. So those are things that you can do. Washing your laundry. So, normally here I would be interacting with somebody and I'd tell them, how many of you have kids that run with their one favorite t-shirt and throw it in the wash machine and press the longest wash that they can do with it. All of us have had somebody come up there and run one or two items. Well, maybe the better way to save a little bit of energy all through the year, and that affects your pocketbook, is to run slightly larger loads and you might be able to run them on if you have an eco mode or a warm instead of hot. That might be a way to save a little bit more money. Most homes do run 400 to 600 times a year on their washing machine, and so that's a lot of times. That's a lot of loads to run a year with your laundry. Some people are many more times than that. With the dryer, one of the things you want to make sure that you do is make sure your dryer vent is clear. If your dryer vent is not cleared out, your dryer is fighting against, basically like sucking through a straw. It can't push all the lint outside and keep things running properly. Running the dryer, the first, if you can run your loads all at the same time, once you start your dryer up, you've done a lot of the work of heating up that dryer. So you can definitely save a little bit of money by running multiple loads of your washer and dryer all at the same time, because your dryer is already heated up and your dryer won't have to fight as hard to get to there and move on. Washing dishes, the same type of thing. Dishwashers use quite a bit of energy, and one of the things about dishwashers that you might want to consider is running full loads. Hand washing uses just a little bit more water, but with your washing machine, you might be able to run a full load and save quite a bit of money during the year by doing that. With the refrigerators, one of the tests that you might want to consider doing is a toilet paper or tissue test, where you put a little tissue and then close the door seal around that. And if you can pull it gently and have it just slip out, you might want to clean those seals around the edge of your refrigerator, because if you can pull that out that easily, you probably have some air leaking out of your refrigerator. And many of us have kids. We see the kids go stick their head in the refrigerator and stand there and shop for a really long time. And I've even had a young one before go stand there and act like they're using it as an air conditioner. That's, maybe not the best way to keep your air conditioner functioning properly. If you keep your refrigerator properly filled and not if you overpack it, it may not function properly. It may start freezing up in places and have a little problem. So you may have to turn your settings down a little bit. Properly cleaning and rotating things might be able to help a little bit. And on some older refrigerators, they have there's some air coils in the back. There's some coils in the back of the refrigerator, and you want to keep the dust off of those. Your air conditioner may work just a little bit better by keeping those clean. Some really old refrigerators have a drying pan up underneath where the water catches in a little, drips in down and catches in a little container, and then a fan blows on it to dry it out. And you want to make sure that's clean as well if you have an older refrigerator. A point about refrigerators, if you go look out in your garage and you happen to have grandma's old 1980s refrigerator in your garage, you might want to think about it, because if there's only 6 cans of soda and an expired piece of food out there in that refrigerator, you might want to think about replacing that or getting rid of it altogether and using something else to keep your food cool for there, because those refrigerators can use several $100s worth of electricity a year to run. And especially the older models, they're just not nearly as efficient as the ones today. And I realize everybody's trying to save a little money, but that might not be the best way if you're spending several $100s to keep a few cans of soda and a few packages of TV pizzas cool, throughout the year. Another thing to speak about is about 3% of the homes in the U.S. About 3% of all electricity in the U.S. generated is used to pump water to the homes. Water is primarily free, but where you have the cost for your bills is when you have to have it treated. You have to have it cleaned. They have to pump it, downstream, and then take the waste out of the water. So one thing we can all do is not flush things down the drains, whether it's the food scraps or things like that. It just adds to everybody's cost of wastewater. And then making good choices. Obviously you'll want to use aerators on your faucets. Many utilities will, in your area, your utility may very well have an aerator for you that does not come with much of a cost or has no cost in their program. Some of them even have shower heads, little aerators. So what they do is they just use just a little bit less water as they run, and you definitely get as clean. You still get wet. You can still wash your hands, you can still wash your hair, and those things work really well, but they just use less water a year. And that's another way that you can lower your bills. Those things can definitely make a big difference. Lots of water can be saved various ways. You can take a shower instead of a bath. Many of us like taking a bath. Many of us like taking the 10-minute shower, and those are choices you can make, but there are choices that you can make to save a little bit of money while you're doing that. And aerators are a good option for that. Energy efficient shower heads, we talked about that. So I would like to point out that I'll just read this one in particular. If each member of a family of 4 takes a 5-minute shower, and that family will use more than 25,000 gallons of water every year. Well, put it in perspective. That water would provide enough drinking water for 187 people to drink during a year. So that's a big savings that can be made just by using an aerator. You can use a little less water, and you might not even notice that you're doing it. So there are many devices through a house that can use quite a bit of electricity. If you have an old cable box, some old cable boxes use about the same amount of electricity as your refrigerator. That sounds very crazy, but I've been to Energy Star and I've read the stats, and it's really kind of surprising. Some of the newer cable boxes are not nearly so bad. They're more efficient. There are many devices that you have that have what are called phantom load. So your cell phone, for example, that you plug into the wall, that cell phone definitely needs to charge. But when you're not home and you have that cord plugged into the wall, you're using a little bit of electricity. So for the average house in the US, according to statistics, there's about $15 to $20 of phantom load just for the cell phone chargers in that house during a course of a year. That's not a lot, but that's a little bit of money that you can save during a year. And that besides that, that's more money that you can use for something else. You might be able to, after a few years, upgrade a phone after, off of some of these savings, and or pay for your child's pizza party. The the consumption is typically about 15% of the electricity used in most households. The numbers vary a little bit, but the number is on the rise due to the number of electronics that we use in households. Game systems left on, computers left on, uh, various little devices like your cable box and things like that. Cable boxes, like I said, are notoriously energy hungry for some reason. It may just be an efficiency issue about how they're designed or something like that, but they they are improving somewhat. But uh, many people don't want to make the decision to unplug some of those devices, like their cable box, because they want to watch their favorite series or show and have it automatically come on and see what they're looking for. But some decisions that can be made are to use a smart plug system. So there are plug outlets that you can utilize. You can buy them at the store, at whatever convenience store that you, or whatever hardware or convenience store you might go to. You might be able to find a smart plug. What they can do is have they have settings that will help them turn off at certain, when they're not being used. So you can turn off some, and then some will stay on. You can save some money with that. With water heaters, many people in their homes have their water heater turning on or turned on at a little bit too much heat. If you set the heat too high, up to the hot setting, it's about 160 degrees or so in that water heater. That water is hot enough to burn you if you're not careful. So one thing I would suggest is suggest setting the water heater at least the factory setting. Uh, the water is still hot. It's still very very hot for a bath or for doing dishes or whatever you happen to be doing. And the amount of energy that you will save on that water heater is pretty substantial. On older water heaters that are not as well insulated, insulating the water heater may be a way to go, where you can wrap some insulation around that heater. Obviously, you need to follow directions when you do some of these things, but those things can help you save on your energy. Say, for example, you're going to go to Thanksgiving and you're going to leave for a couple of days, and you're going to grandmother's in a typical year. Uh, this year we've got the coronavirus, so we may not be doing that. But say you're going on a vacation, so turn your water heater down to the lowest setting while you're gone. You're not going to be using that water, and that water is going to be constantly heating uh, to never be used, basically while you're gone. That's an energy bill that you can save. The Contacting your gas or electric utilities for advice on their water heaters. If you had a water heater that was possibly going out, you could contact your utilities and see if they have a program to help you with the purchase of a new one. There are there are many things that you might want to consider. Some water heaters, uh, when they go out, they start having issues where they'll leak everywhere. So you might want to have it checked occasionally. And when you go to replace that water heater, an option might be to go to a tankless water heater. It's like a point of use. So it delivers a certain number of gallons per minute, in the area that you're at, and only heats that particular water as it comes out. Uh, is It's a little bit more efficient, and those are slightly more expensive. And there usually are some discounts and rebates that can be found if you do a little shopping first. Another good reason to speak with your utility, find out what they have, what programs they have available, what advice they can give you on being more energy efficient. Uh, in your In your garage, you can do some little conservation measures. You can possibly make sure that your garage seals properly and that the springs are set properly. You can also make sure that your garage doors have a little bit of insulation on them. Uh, if you need to ask about how to do that, you might be able to get that information from your local hardware store or your utility. But insulating your garage, it's a big volume of space that otherwise might be heated to the outside air. Not letting your kids go out, use the garage door as a main entrance and exit to the house, and leaving the thing open all day long during the heat of the summer or the cold of the winter. That's a big load versus your heater or air conditioner in your house, to just deal with that one more space to try to fight against that for the outside. And as far as dealing with uh, attics and crawl spaces, you want to make sure those are very well insulated, that your lines are serviced well on your water heaters, and that your pressure is set properly. You definitely don't want to have leaks down in the basements or crawl spaces of your house. As far as your lawn, your outside of your house, there uh, watering your lawn, you may be able to select certain breeds of grass if you're treating your lawn, or you might be able to do a little landscaping with some chips or something. You might be able to lower the amount of space that you need to water and still have a green lawn. If you're going to water your lawn during the summertime, during the hot months, it's a good idea to do that at night. And the reason is if you wait until the hot of the day to spray water on your lawn, you can actually sunburn your lawn, so to speak. It will cause it to shock. And then in addition, most of that water will evaporate into the air. And so you're basically holding the hose up into the air and pumping it into the sky. So water your lawn during the cool of the night where it can actually soak in and get down into the roots and do what it's supposed to do. Uh, you might have a little bit greener yard and not have to fight with so much water to get that done. Uh, the with private automobiles, there are quite a few ways to save energy and be more efficient with automobiles. I've left information for Miss Patty Springs, who works in my office. She has the she heads up the Clean Cities Coalition, and in the state of Arkansas, I've got her information listed after my presentation. So if you're interested in alternative fuels and different things you can do to save money with your vehicle, she would be a good source to talk to for that. And as far as shading of your house, shading your air conditioner can help a little bit. Shading of your house can help during the summertime. So trees, planting a tree is always a good thing. Trees, use carbon dioxide and put out oxygen. Many of them do. And putting shade on certain sides of your house, the windbreak can definitely help affect your energy bill in a positive way if you have trees in the appropriate spot. The little bit of shade on your house can definitely help your house not to fight so hard in the summertime, and not fight quite as hard to stay warm in the wintertime. So it can be a great thing if placed properly. Um, on Shopping Smart, I would strongly recommend going to government sites, the the Department of Energy, and look for Energy Star logos on devices, on appliances. And before you go out and replace your refrigerator or your washing machine or your dryer or your water heater or furnace, please go check out what your utility has. So your local utility may have a program that can help you with a bit of a rebate on some of these products. They can give you advice on what would be appropriate for you. And on the sides of these labels for the Energy Star rated devices, they will show about how much energy it would take to use that device and some of your energy costs. And so it's a great way to see how much you're gaining, how beneficial it is. And you might just see that some spending just a little bit more on some of these devices actually saves you money, just like with the light bulb. The you know the little rinky-dink little light bulb that you buy that's an LED that burns at 11 watts. Well, that light bulb is actually saving you money over the life of the bulb if it lasts the full time. The your 75-watt light bulb, you might have to go replace multiple times. It may be some of that is comes into play with some of these Energy Star rated devices. Uh, they do have a little bit more upfront costs sometimes, but then the amount of electricity or the amount of natural gas that you use during the use of them can really add up quickly. That won't be something you'll have to pay in your utility bill as it comes along. So you might want to consider that as a really great way to uh, lower your bills over time. So are there, let's see, let me ask Grayson to turn his mic back on. Do we have any questions? How do you determine the factory setting on a water heater? You can look on, well, the factory setting on the water heater, in the packaging on the water heater has that. And I guess you can go online and you can, you know, you could possibly call the utilities. They could give me a call and I could find that information for them and help them find that, find what they're looking for. But the on the product material itself, it may have something that shows where that setting is, and there's typically a mark that shows the warm setting. Is typically where most factories want you to set your water heater. So that would be I believe the A, on some of the old water heaters. Well, thank you very much, and I very much appreciate the opportunity to speak with you. I'm used to more questions and more interaction, so I think I went just a little bit fast this time. I apologize for that, but I can I can definitely elaborate. If someone has additional questions that they have, please email me. My email is here. It's John Fetherston at adeq.state.ar.us. And I realize it's a long email, but that's what I have. Uh, our website is full of good information. It's energyefficiencyarkansas.org, and we have do-it-yourself, you know, a do-it-yourself help book on there. We have some videos. We have some different helps on our website. We have links to the utilities. You can actually search by your address or zip code, by your city and zip code or county, and find a utility that's probably your utility nearby you. Those utilities have links on our website. Now it's a state site, but we have direct links to these utilities that are in your area. So you just click on your utility, go in and look at some of the programs and incentives that they have, find out some of the information they have. They may have advice and they may have tips for you, and they may possibly even have some helps for you in the like some program. Some utilities have programs with aerators. Some have helps to purchase a furnace or a water heater to help you deal with some of the little troubles that happen in life. And then next, I have got information from Miss Patty Springs. She's over the Arkansas Clean Cities Coalition. So for all things, all electric vehicles and alternative fuels, she can definitely help you with those. Help you with that type of information. So please feel free to contact her. The Arkansas Department of Energy and Environment has a website. It's the ADEQ website. You can link to that through the energyefficiencyarkansas.org, and you'll see that information. I would be more than happy to answer questions, and I look forward to hearing from people.